the Housewives News Network. No commentary, just the stories. I am your host, Taylor J. And be sure to subscribe, like, comment on this channel, and also check out my social media at the bottom of the screen here. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, and also I'm on TikTok under Housewives News Network as well. Be sure to check me out there because I do like to create some content during the week that might not necessarily need a full YouTube episode for. But we are here to talk about part 2 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 15 reunion. And let me just say that this is going to be just like how it was last week, where I'm doing an op-ed. So usually I don't give my commentary, but I'm doing it this time around, just to give my final thoughts on this reunion, on the season in general, and what my thoughts are about the next season to come. I think things that I would like to see. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. As I'm recording right now, the folks right next door are painting my neighbor's house. So if you hear some loud sounds, some construction sounds, that's what it is. I was trying to wait for them to stop, but they're taking forever and the show must go on. So let's get into it. So what I want to say, honestly, and I'm going to start with this, and I'll kind of be hopping around. I don't even think I'm really going to be before you long, because I don't necessarily want to give a play-by-play of this reunion episode because it was just so much of a mess. But I do want to say this. I don't think that it's a good idea for Drew Sidor to come back on the show. And it's not necessarily about her showing up as a housewife or the way that she is as a housewife. It has nothing to do with that. But it's very clear that if Drew continues on, I could see the next season for her being something of a takedown season because no one had her back. This was probably one of the most awkward and most vulnerable moments that we have seen at a Real Housewives reunion, where Drew and Ralph come face to face and they're having this conversation about their marriage in front of this entire group of women, and no one really having Drew's back except for Kenya. And it's a shame to see. Technically, Kenya is still married, but then there's also Candy, and there's Sonia, and there's Sheree, who's been married and divorced. And for them to sit there and allow Ralph to treat Drew the way that he was treating her, especially in that moment, I feel like was not cool. And I think that just showed, honestly, how they feel about her, and that they don't feel, they don't have any positive feeling toward her to, allow that to take place. Now, we don't know what goes on in the Pittman Sidora household. Let's be honest, we don't know. But we know what we see, and the things that we have seen from Ralph and his treatment of Drew, telling her that she doesn't deserve a nice dinner, she deserves a Lunchable, being gone for days at a time and not letting her know where he is, just making kind of the comments that he was making when she was filming the movie, and he's, more worried about the lesbian stuff and kind of downplaying her work as an actress. It's just we see those things. So I know you guys are seeing it too, and you guys are probably seeing more than we're seeing. And it's just why are we not supporting each other? Why are we not rallying around her in this difficult time, in the breaking up of a family? And on social media, we've been seeing a lot of comparisons of Married to Medicine's reunions to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I think it's very telling, because we actually watched the salvaging of a marriage at a reunion. Simone and Cecil, they were separated on the brink of divorce, and the way that all the couples came together, whether they were getting along or not, they stepped up and they held them each accountable to the point that they saved them. And we saw also with Dr. G and Quad and Dr. Scott and Dr. Contessa as well, that they were, when they were having issues with their marriages, even though things didn't work out between Dr. G and Quad, and Scott and Contessa, they're still together, which is good. But the couples never had a problem with stepping in and saying, hey, you need to consider this. Hey, this was wrong. Hey, why are you doing this? Holding each other accountable, because that's what friends do. And so looking at the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 15 part 2 reunion versus what we've seen with the Married to Medicine cast, you can see that these people are not friends of Drew. And not only that, but it doesn't help that people also see Drew as a liar. They, have all said on these reunion parts 1 and 2 how she lies. Some people feel like they can't trust her. But also, even the people that she has working for her, people in her circle, how many assistants and chefs and whomever, have thrown her under the bus, suing her or telling her business. I just think that Drew, even if she just takes a break, I think that she needs to take a step away from the Real Housewives of Atlanta and just really get her stuff together. Focus on her music, focus on her acting, focus on other positive things, especially, if this divorce does become final, because like I said, no one has her back. And I personally, I've never been on the Housewives. I probably will never be on the Housewives, but I would not want to be on a show where it feels like a single person does not have me. And, last week I was kind of giving Kenya some grief because I felt like she wasn't really showing up. And I felt like she still didn't necessarily show up in the way that we know her to. But I commend her so much for being the one to step up to Ralph, even though it seems like he still wasn't receiving what she was telling him. I don't think he could really look himself in the mirror or if he really believes that he is the way that he is, or he is the way that he has displayed himself to us. So I'm grateful to Kenya for speaking up and, saying, hey, the behaviors that you're showing are very similar behaviors to what my husband showed me. I've been through it. It's not good. And, Ralph tried to turn the tables on her by asking her, well, how long have you guys been married? But like Kenya said, it's not relevant. It's about the behaviors that you're displaying. And, Ralph has denied, that he's ever cheated on Drew. He says that he loves her and everything. And I'm sure they love each other. They've been married and everything. But again, from what we have seen from not just this season, but in the 3 years that they have been on the show, it just doesn't seem like Ralph really has or has had Drew's best interest at heart in these last few years that we've seen them. She says for the last 3 years, the amount of time they've been on the show, that he has done nothing but embarrass her. And that is what we've seen constantly over and over again. And I mean, it's the same thing here, because let's be honest. When Drew sang that song, she wrote a song, and it's basically about what they're going through, and she sings it, and she's singing it to Ralph. It was giving me a Tyler Perry play moment. It was very cringy. It was very hard to watch. But I also hope that he felt it too, because I think the song was called like Throw Us Away or something like that. I mean, that's essentially what it looks like. They're throwing away their marriage, but like Drew said, he didn't want to fight for it. He blocked the therapist. He didn't want to accept any accountability when his feet were being held to the fire. And, if someone doesn't want to put in the work, I've never been married before, but I know that, and one day I desire to be, but I know that, if things get hard, I want to be able to have a partner that will fight for us, that will not give up, and essentially throw away what we have, or allow the spotlight or the limelight to overtake everything else, So I say all that to say, I believe that Drew needs to regroup. I believe that Drew needs to, maybe take a break, have a fresh start. I do think that there should be a bit of an overhaul with casting. I definitely see them keeping Candy, Sheree, and Kenya. I've seen reports of that. I think that makes the most sense. But, Sonya, it's been cool. It's been cute. But I think that Sonya, I think that she can go. I think Monyetta and Courtney can go as well. I don't think that they added anything. Courtney definitely was trying to get her moment here at the reunion. And, just something that really bothered me is the fact that this woman has the confidence to speak on something so surely that has nothing to do with her. And when Drew was saying that Ralph coached her, or was claiming that Ralph coached her, I believe that. Just like, and even with Sheree, they tried to give her this this title, I guess now being Peacemaker, even though she's been the bone carrier for a long time. And I don't think that she can actually hold that Peacemaker nucleus position, because we just saw in the second part as well that she was being messy. She said, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't, I want to stay out of this. And then goes behind her pillow and pulls out a manila envelope with text messages that, I guess, incriminating text messages related to Drew that were left at the chateau. And she doesn't know who dropped them off at the chateau. Drew accuses Ralph of doing it. I believe some others say that they think that Ralph left them there or sent somebody to leave them there. And I could believe that too. Because why would, who got these messages? Why would they leave them at Sheree's house? And it's like, Sheree, if you're supposed to be the peacemaker, if you're supposed to be the nucleus, if you're supposed to, be trying to keep everything all kosher, then why would you present that? The bone carrier thing is still there. If you want somebody to be the center, if you want somebody to be the one to bring people together, I mean, yes, you might be involved in the mess, but I don't think in one way or another, but I don't think that you're necessarily going to instigate it either, So I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't really see Sheree as a nucleus, but like she said, when she and Candy were going tit for tat, you guys are a little lackluster and they keep bringing me back. So there's a reason why Sheree has been brought back a few times, and given a peach 3 or so times. They value her there. So I see that she is going to remain. Candy, we all know that they value Candy. I don't see Candy going anywhere anytime soon unless she does it on her own accord. And we know that Candy does not let a bag go. And I'm sure Real Housewives of Atlanta is a pretty big bag that she's bringing in along with her other checks. So I don't see her going anywhere. Kenya, I know that she's been very vocal lately about production and how unhappy she's been with that. But I also don't see her going anywhere either. I know that Kenya, she has the hair spa and everything, but we haven't really seen Kenya doing other things recently. I know she was on like a Netflix show. I don't know if she was a regular or a guest. I didn't watch it. I think it was a show with Tia Mowry. If it's still on, I don't even know. But yeah, I don't really see her going anywhere either. So Sonya, she can dip. I think Marlo, I enjoyed looking at him. I enjoyed some of Marlo, not all of it, but I think that Marlo would do better going back into her friend role. I think Marlo did the best as a friend. And am I missing anybody? No, I think that's all of them. Am I missing somebody? Drew. Yeah, and I said Drew. I didn't want Drew to come. I don't think Drew should come back. So we're going to find out. We're going to see. This reunion as a whole, not even a reunion this season, we all know that it was tough. And I think because we're just so used to Real Housewives of Atlanta being a certain way, it's fun shade. It's, some real drama and a lot of laughs and a lot of keys. And I don't think that we got a lot of keying. There isn't really anything from this season that really stands out to me or that is very memorable to me. I don't think that there's necessarily anything from this season that I will be quoting, like any one-liners or anything like that. There was just nothing memorable. Like I even forgot about the whole thing with Marlo and Candy, thank God, because we got tired of that anyway, about the nephew. Nothing was memorable about it. I think what is going to be most remembered is the cringe moment with Drew singing this song to Ralph toward the end, because that was a hot mess, and Andy's facial expressions. Also, Drew, in these props, she took a moment to throw a peach at Ralph because she's saying, that's what he wants. He wants his moment in the spotlight. He wants to be a housewife. He wants to be a peach holder, and she throws a peach at him. That did make me laugh. I know some people weren't too crazy about that, but that made me laugh. So I'm trying to see what else here in my notes that I felt was worth mentioning. I just wanted to keep it simple. I do want to see more of, I do want to see more of Allison, but if Drew leaves, we can't see more of Allison. But I understand, or I can see why Ralph probably didn't want Allison around, because she's done with the bull. After Courtney leaves off set, she goes backstage to go hug Ralph and talk to him, and Allison walks by, and then Courtney tries to close the door on Allison, and Allison's like, no, I'm not the one or the two. And they kind of got into a little spat, and even like toward the end of the season, Allison was telling Ralph, hey, like, you need to understand. I forget what the scenario was. They were talking about, Courtney calling Drew a B, and how Drew was upset that Ralph, wasn't really taking up for her. And Allison is saying, hey, if your wife is feeling a certain way, if she doesn't like what somebody said, then you need to be backing her. So he probably didn't like the fact that Allison spoke up to him, that Allison is not with the schemes that Todd set up to come to us with the bull. Okay, she's not with it. And so if Drew does stay, it would be good to see more of Allison. I'm glad that she was included. I wish she could have been included more in the past, but they had their situations going on. So I guess that was what it was. Congratulations to Sonya that she got her baby, and that she said she's due on Christmas Day. She miscarried, unfortunately, but a month later she got pregnant again. So we're really happy for them. I want to say to Sonya too that Kenya is not your friend. That should have been known when she told you in Birmingham that you don't have to stay, you can go home. Sonya claims that Kenya did not reach out to her when she had her miscarriage, but Kenya says that she called Sonya and Sonya didn't answer. But I'm just like, a real friend or a true friend would have kept trying, or would have did a different gesture, or sent something, or showed up to her house or whatever. She would have did more than send a phone call, in my opinion. Those are the kind of friends that I have. So I just don't think that Kenya is a real friend to Sonya, and I think that she needs to just let that go. Sonya also claimed that Kenya is calculated, that she shows up for Sonya on the camera, but off camera, she's never there for her when she needs her. And it also came up too that Candy brought Ty, or Candy's crew heard that Drew had this crush on Ty and brought Ty on the set, so that Drew didn't actually meet her on set. But yeah, that's really just like the gist of my notes here. The biggest part is just, my concerns for Drew. I think she, again, needs to take a break, and I'm glad that we get to get a break from the Real Housewives of Atlanta right now. I love the girls. I love the city of Atlanta. I'm excited for their future, because I think with the way that things have gone, that they probably are going to put some work into it. They are going to put some thought into it to make some better choices for the future and with recasting. So we're going to see what happens. But let me know what you thought about part 2 of the Real Housewives Season 15 reunion. Leave your comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on social media. Those are all at the bottom of the screen. And although Housewives of Atlanta is over, there's still other Housewives franchises going on right now, so I can give a little bit more focus to reviewing New York and Salt Lake City. And then in a minute, we're about to get Potomac, and we're about to get Beverly Hills and Married to Medicine too. So I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching.